Hello and welcome to FS Brew. FS Brew is Region's first podcast focusing on all things insurance and Insurtech here in the UAE and the wider Middle East. I'm Vidya. I'm the founder of Forward, a startup that works with insurance companies to build their go-to-market digital propositions.
Hi, I'm Renjit Philip. I work with a boutique consulting firm where I work on M&A, funding, go-to-market support for startups and other tech companies. So in today's episode, we are very fortunate to speak with Ayman El Hout, CEO of Marsh McLennan, and he's a veteran insurer with over 40 years of experience. And there's a lot of learning in this episode, so we hope you will enjoy this.
Hi, Emin. It's lovely to have you with us on FS Brew. It's great to have you with us today.
It's good to see you both, Vidya and Renjit.
Great. We typically ask this question to all our guests: why insurance? It's never the first choice. How did you get into this career?
It's actually by coincidence. So actually, I had two offers from the banking sector, and by coincidence, I saw my teacher at the university after graduation, and he was a senior manager in a big financial group. And he asked me, Ayman, what do you intend to do? I said, I'm going to the banking. I've got a couple of good offers. He said, no, don't do that. Go to the insurance sector. And the reason for that is that in the banking sector, there's a very long queue of people ahead of you. So if you want to progress in that domain, you won't have a proper chance. Go to insurance and get your career there. And that's how it started. So he introduced me to the CEO of the insurance company that belonged to that group. I did the interview, but I was not offered the job. Actually, the reason for that is that it was one open position, and it was between me, a fresh graduate, versus someone who had experience, and they preferred the person who had the experience. So I didn't get the job, but I had it in my mind, and I was persistent about that. I declined the two other offers, had nothing, and I waited. It was 1 month. After 1 month, they called me back. So I waited for 1 month doing nothing. They called me back and they offered me a job that was suitable for me, and that was my start.
Perfect. So you have to thank that teacher to guide you to the industry.
Yeah, I thank him a lot, because I think he gave me the right advice.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Marsh McLennan has a storied sort of history in the Middle East, and you also won the Broker of the Year award recently. First of all, congratulations on that. So what sort of key highlights would you pick out from the last 12 months that kind of propelled Marsh to this position? What would you say got it the award?
I think that's really a testimony for being a market leader. And when you say a market leader, it's in different aspects. So number one is in what we're doing for our clients. Because as a market leader and as an international broker and risk advisor, it's about what we are bringing to the clients in the region. So there are so many solutions that are available in Marsh worldwide, but our ability to bring in and tailor these solutions for our clients in the region is something that we are very proud of. The second element is our relationship with our colleagues, and that was evident from our colleague engagement scores. We have always scored very high when it comes to colleague engagement, and I think we are an employer of choice. And the third reason is our value, the value that we drive for our shareholders. And last but not least is the work that we do for the overall brokerage and insurance community. Because we have done a lot of work in the back scene. We're not showing ourselves as Marsh, but we're working through the Insurance Association in the UAE to drive better insurance understanding, comments on the regulations, development, awareness, etc., through the Insurance Association. That would help the overall insurance community and not only Marsh as a company.
I was just going to say this awareness issue is actually an important thing, right? Because not everybody goes beyond the mandatory covers. They are not aware of the risks that they kind of face when they go about their daily lives, right?
Yeah.
You're right on this one. And if you look at the awareness, I think there's a very big gap here, because when you talk to someone about insurance, they think of medical insurance, motor insurance, and that's it.
And that's
But
it.
if you look at the world around us, no airplane can fly without insurance. Satellites cannot be there, and the internet cannot be there. So it's really massive. And the way that we're tackling this in Marsh McLennan actually is through thought leadership. So we publish a lot of information on our website, on our LinkedIn, and you can follow us on LinkedIn, my personal LinkedIn page. There's a lot of thought leadership that we share for the public, for everyone's benefit. And when I was talking about the community, insurance community, it's not only about creating awareness, but also helping in the regulation, in sharing our views about the forthcoming regulation, how you can develop and evolve the industry in our region. So these are the kinds of activities that we love and we continue to provide as a leader, because as a leader, it's not about numbers. It's not about being number one in terms of revenue, in terms of number of experts. No, it's about the value that you give to your clients, to your colleagues, to our employees, and to the community in general. It's about value. It's not about numbers.
True. You mentioned regulations. It'll be interesting to know your views. Maybe later on we can pick on that. So specifically to your role, you are looking at the Middle East business. You have the UAE, Oman, Qatar, and Egypt. While broadly one can club it saying the Middle East region, that's definitely there are differences. There are various nuances. There is different maturity from customer expectations and so on. Tell us from what you're seeing, how are the risk profile and the regulatory landscape varying in each of these countries, and are they similar or are they entirely different? Great to know your views.
I think in many instances, there are certain drives in certain directions that we're seeing in different countries. For example, when it comes to data privacy, data hosting, these kind of, it's the same thing. And that's going to the international level, that data privacy. And it's the regulators here are very adamant about that. And this is something that's really good. When it comes to consumer protection, the regulators are very keen about that. What I would like to see that is not there yet is going beyond regulation by enforcement. Okay, yes, at the early stages, you need regulation by enforcement to set certain rules or metrics for the market players and to make sure that bad players are not acting in a bad way. So that's really important at the beginning. But I think the next stage that we should be seeing in the regulation in the region is how to grow our insurance sector and having that growth-minded drive overseeing the enforcement by regulation.
So you're saying essentially across all these countries that you overlook, you do see that there is a lot more awareness that needs to be built pan Middle East itself.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And that awareness is at different levels. It's at the consumer level, it's at the regulators level, it's at us, at the level of the insurers ourselves, because in many instances, so for example, it's difficult for us to attract talent to the insurance sector. And that's not only for our region, that's global. It's an issue. And so the insurance industry need to work harder in order to be able to attract the right talent into the insurance sector. And that awareness is one piece of that kind of attraction.
Yeah, I think talent is another whole new issue as well. Finding people who are like you were guided by your teacher, that today doesn't happen. Everybody is like saying either you do something very lucrative or go into become a YouTube star or something like that. Nobody is thinking of insurance as a very attractive industry in the younger segment. And with the arrival of AI, now what happens to the future of roles in insurance also is something to think through, right?
I think that's an interesting point. Let me split the answer into two parts. The first part is on attracting the right talent. If you look at the insurance sector, it's not only attracting people who graduate from a business school. We need engineers, we need doctors, we need nurses, we need petrochemical experts. So we need that. So it's a whole different broad scope of talent. So it's not only business graduates that should come and join insurance. It's a very broad spectrum, especially when you talk about specialized lines of business, for example, renewables in the energy. You really need experts in that domain who understand the technology and at the same time understand insurance. So that kind of complexity. And I think when we explain that properly to the graduates of the engineering schools or the business schools or the medicine schools, okay, I think they can get it and might find insurance to be a more interesting domain to join. So that's on the first part of the remark. The second part, when it comes to AI, I think AI is really great. So many people we were talking about AI replacing jobs, etc. And I'd like to recall the early days when I started working in insurance. When I started working, the desktop, the laptop didn't even exist at that time. Yeah. And at that time, we were talking about the desktop coming in and replacing us in our job. It didn't happen. Okay. Yeah. So we used the desktop and then later down the laptop to make our efficiencies better, our productivity better, our performance better. We used it to deliver something that we couldn't deliver or dream of delivering without the laptop or the desktop. I think the same thing is with AI. And using AI could help us be more productive, more efficient, and do things that we could not do for the time being. And the future will be in learning the prompts, the AI prompts, rather than learning development language, computer development. And that's the key for the new generation. And actually, let me share with you a story. A couple of weeks back, we were having our executive committee meeting, and one of the colleagues gave an important remark that the intake of fresh graduates as a number wasn't high because of AI, but that meant that the existing, let me rephrase that, the fresh graduates that they took were using AI in a remarkable way that made their jobs highly efficient, highly productive, okay? And that meant value to the clients and value to the organization. Now, the dilemma that will occur is that if you are not taking enough, how can you build up the future senior consultants that would help in driving the business in the future? And this is something that we need to sort out in building up talent that will be the future leaders of the organization, but at the same time be more efficient in using technology.
So basically, the brokers who are not using AI will be replaced by brokers who use AI. That's what you're saying, right?
And it's not only about brokers. I think any individual who is not utilizing AI properly to develop and make his performance better, okay, will be replaced by someone who is using AI.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think that's what that NVIDIA CEO was also saying, that it's not AI going to replace people. It is people with Gen AI skills or AI skills will replace the ones who don't have. So,
and I agree with that quote. Yeah, fully.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned about renewable energy, and we spoke a little bit with Renee on risk related to climate change and role insurers and the whole ecosystem can play in bringing out the transition to green energy. So if you can talk about some of the work that Marsh is doing in the region with regards to climate and green energy, that'd be lovely.
Okay. There are different areas where we're adding value as Marsh McLennan. Let me go back in time to COP28. So when COP28 was here, we had a very big delegation headed by our Marsh McLennan CEO. And we worked on a paper and it's public. Anyone can download that paper jointly with Diwa on the Mohammed bin Rashid Solar Park, for example. And that's part of the public and the thought leadership that we do. And we share with everyone. So that's an example. The other example is the projects that are being taken in the region in renewable energy, whether in the UAE or in Saudi or other countries. Our experts, we've got 400 experts in Marsh McLennan that can help and guide the clients when it comes to finding solutions for the renewables. And we can talk about the challenges later. And I think the other area where we're helping our client is through the solutions of technology. For example, we have devised in Marsh McLennan a tool called Centrisk that really helps in the supply chain, identifying using AI the various elements in the supply chain and the client impact on that supply chain, so that the clients are aware of any potential interruption that might happen in the future, and take preventive measures now before they face the surprise of the chain interruption. So that's a very powerful tool, and this tool is available in the region. I was talking about our value that we bring from being a global broker to the region. This is one of the value, the tools that we bring to the region. Centrix is one of them. And I can spend an hour talking about that, but I think in a nutshell, that's what we have.
No, that's a very exciting tool to have as well, because a lot of the time when it comes to transition project, climate transition projects, I think here, especially in the region, sometimes insurance is never part of the initial conversation of the project itself. And it's always very helpful when insurance or brokers come in at the very beginning of the inception of the project to make sure the risk is mitigated in a nice, creative way, isn't it?
Vidya, you nailed it. By having this remark, I think you nailed it. And that's, for example, let's suppose someone wants to build a factory in a certain area. Today, this area might seem to be safe from any climate change, whether it is wind, flood, rain, earthquake, etc. But we know for sure that the wind patterns, for example, are changing. The rainfall patterns are changing. So how will this look 10, 20 years down the line with that kind of changing pattern? And here comes our analytical tools and our modeling tools, where our experts can help in that kind of modeling and giving the proper advice, whether even that location is the right location. So having the early discussions before even starting the project, and have the design of the project and the review of the project, is very important to try to mitigate that risk before spending millions of dollars on your projects.
Absolutely. And there's always the confidence when you have a broker underwriting or an insurer underwriting a project of that scale itself. And I think, you had spoken quite extensively around the back of Dubai Reins as well, the whole climate resilience that one needs to build from an industry point of view. Any thoughts on that specific to our Dubai Reins itself? How's that shaping, maybe from reinsurance or from just the whole product perspective itself?
It was an exceptional, everyone knows it was an exceptional amount of rain that happened within a very short period of time. But let's be honest to ourselves. I think this was a wake-up call for everyone.
Yeah.
And if I want to go back in history, the first time we had a hurricane in Oman, for example, it was Guno. Okay. Yeah. And we said it's once in a 75 years event, etc. So look at the number of hurricanes that Oman has been facing since that time, since Guno time until today. And that will give you the idea of how the weather and the climate is changing and what we need to do. So I think this wake-up call was very important for us to start on thinking about risk mitigation, because insurance comes in as the last line of defense, okay? But you need to build up other lines of defenses before that, which starts by risk mitigation, business resiliency, business continuity, and then insurance comes in as the last line of defense. So let's take advantage of that wake-up call.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was a blast from the past. I remember Gonu in 2007, I think, right? And I remember our CEO in Oman, he said, forget about it, our results are gone. But what we will do is we'll make sure and proactively contact our customers and pay out to them. We are not going to wait for notification of claims, but this is the time we need to show them that we will be there for them, right?
I'm glad you raised this, Renjit, because we were talking about earlier about the awareness. I think the insurance sector has stepped up and of dirhams proactively to the clients. But the clients are not aware of that. And that's the kind of the awareness where the insurance sector should really portray the positive element of the insurance sector stepping in and handling these claims. And when I talk about the insurance sector, it's the insurers, it is the loss adjusters, it is the brokers. And I can say about the brokers, our claims team did a fantastic job day and night in trying to assist and trying to get a resolution for the claims ASAP. So it's the whole sector came in. Yes, I acknowledge that there were some small bad actors, but I wouldn't let small bad actors ruin the bigger picture of
Yeah.
being a proactive industry that has done a fantastic job after the rain incident.
I'm conscious that because you touched upon some interesting points. We have gone all across the schedule, so I'll let Vidya bring us back to the question.
No, so we were talking about obviously climate risk, but then we also read a very interesting report around Marsh McLennan's 2024 Global Risks Report, and that had short-term risks and long-term risks and so on and so forth. Any specific risks apart from that climate piece that we spoke about? Are there within the Middle East that one should notice? And how should the whole ecosystem, the industry or the regulator body should come together to react to these risks and put in certain solutions? Any thoughts on that?
I think since we have touched about AI, to link that to this is about misinformation and disinformation. We're seeing plenty of use, especially in the social media. News travel fast, just like lightning fast. So being aware of the information and the misinformation, disinformation is really critical. And we had lots of elections that happened. The last one was the US elections, and we're still having more elections coming in. And that's where this is critical on shaping the future, as well as on spreading rumors, not only rumors, but also promoting certain ideologies or certain kinds of aspirations, etc. So we need to be mindful of that, and the impact as well on the children, because that's also who are using that, and how they could be misguided. And this will also lead to the I would say societal split and the polarization, because polarization, we're seeing polarization worldwide affecting us on the geopolitical reason. It's not only about one risk, but the interconnect and how risks play along together. So if you put the societal kind of element, the polarization, the geopolitics, add to that misinformation, information, when you club them together, that's really something that we need to be very careful of.
Yeah, oh, that's true. The connectedness of all these risks, which increase the sort of severity of the risk, if you will. Now, just stepping away from the world of risks and insurance for a bit, when we look at your career on LinkedIn, it seems like you've progressively grown into senior positions. Things have been going well. But the reality is we know that in any career, there are ups and downs. So it'd be interesting you don't need to name specifics, but you can feel free to go into if you want to. But are there significant challenges, leadership or otherwise, that you face in your career? And how do you overcome them? Will be good lessons for aspiring leaders.
Yes, my journey has been, I had ups and downs. So just for you to know, I've been in the industry now for 40 years in different countries in the region. So I think I've seen a lot of proper management, mismanagement, good leadership, bad leadership. But I think my advice that I would like to give to the new starters is sometimes you need to be a little bit patient. I wasn't patient in my early beginnings. Sometimes you need to be a little bit patient, but still be adamant and persistent in trying to achieve your objective. So just because it takes a little bit more time to achieve your objective, don't let go. Okay. And follow your passion. Wherever you think that you can really add value, you can be happy, you can feel that you are really doing something, follow your passion and do that. Do not do anything that's not within your passion, especially when it comes to insurance. If you do not really love insurance, you will not be an excellent insurance professional. You can be a good manager, but you will never be a good leader. And there's a very big difference between a manager and a leader. So that's my advice to the young generation. But and the other advice is learn, because whatever you learn from the university is not enough. Insurance by itself is a school. It teaches you a lot about all the industries that are shaping our economy. So you need to learn and learn a lot. And that's what will differentiate you from the others.
Perfect. And we also saw, obviously, from your profile, you have a very deep expertise within the medical portfolio. We wanted to know, what are your thoughts with this whole rising costs of medical insurance? It's largely, obviously, driven by a whole lot of system abuse, even from end consumers' point of view and also medical practitioners. How must an insurer manage this portfolio, which is a very important contributor to the economy itself? Partnering with Insurtech, would that be an answer? It'd be great to know your thoughts.
I think the rise of medical inflation is gonna continue. It has been there and it's gonna continue. I think what we need to talk about is not cost reduction when it comes to employers and budgeting, but rather cost optimization. And that's where the design of the insurance plan, the benefits that are put into that plan are optimized for two things: to provide the employees with the best possible plan. And mind you that insurance is part of the competitive advantage. If any employer is not providing a proper coverage for his employees, it will be very difficult for that employer to attract talent. Okay, so that's the aspect. The other aspect is the abuse and fraud that happens. And here comes in the tools that we provide in analyzing the claims data and providing insights to where the spending is being done and trying to do something about that. The third element is to create awareness within the population of any company about the insurance benefits, utilization, and how to do that, and drive more into telemedicine. We think telemedicine is a great tool to reduce cost. Many plans have that's already built into the plan, but the utilization of telemedicine is still not up to the expectation. So promoting that would help on the cost reduction. The other element that drives inflation is the new technology, the innovation, the research and development, new medications coming into play, and the number of cases of cancer that we're seeing, cardiovascular cases, is on the rise as well, due to certain lifestyles and the for example pollution, etc. So we're seeing a trend in that. So we need to be able to provide for the proper funding for these cases. And that's where the wellness comes into play. So trying to have a healthy population, trying to be more on the preventive side rather than on the spending side would help. And when we talk about wellness, it's physical wellness, it's mental wellness, and it's financial wellness as well, because financial wellness puts a lot of stress on individuals that could lead to physical illness. So all that combined together needs to be solved for.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is one of the things that we often hear from small companies, some of them who are clients, right? The price of insurance is going up, but they don't really see deep under what are the things which are driving it. For example, telemedicine is an interesting way to break it down, right? So just from Marsh McLennan perspective, it's a large company, it's a large region here that you have. So the question is, when the company gets big, does the culture of innovation go down, or is that just a myth that these consultants like me are promoting? What do you say? And do Insurtechs have a part to play in bringing innovation to the companies?
Okay, let me talk about my company, and then I'll come to the Insurtech. So when it comes to a big company like Marsh, I think being big provides you with the resources, the financial capabilities to be able to invest in technology. So that's a big plus. And that's what the company has been doing through at least, and spending heavily, especially during the past couple of years. So we had Lenai coming in, we have Empower coming in, I mentioned Centrisk coming in, and we have Risk Connect that's there. So we have plenty of tools that we have deployed for our internal use as well for our clients use to help our clients manage their portfolios in a better place. So being big, having the financial resources helps you invest. That's at the bigger picture of Marsh McLennan. Having said that, we in the region as well, we open the door for the creativity of our own employees. So whenever someone comes in with a bright idea that would help us do things better at our scale here in the region, we're happy to support that from our own budgets. And there were a couple of projects that we did during this year and last year. We did some projects that we developed here in the region, and then we showcased this to other regions, and they were happy to take them on and use them in other regions. So it's the room is open for innovation. Coming to the Insurtechs, yes, there has been a lot of talk about insurtechs, and some of them were successful, some of them were less successful. And pardon me for being very honest and vocal about that.
Yes.
I haven't seen a real insurtech yet. Having said that, this is a very big threat, okay, that will come one day, whether to the way the brokers interact, the way insurers interact, and the way the whole insurance business is interact. And honestly, I can tell you the area where I see that the insurance sector is lagging behind. And if you ask me, Ayman, what would you like to do? I would tell you I would like to go and be a disruptor in that particular area, which is the tokenization of assets. Everyone is talking about tokenization of assets, and the world is moving in that direction. And I think when it comes to the insurance sector as a whole, okay, we're far behind in finding the proper solution. So in my opinion, that will be the biggest disruptor in the future. And as an insurance community, I think we should start, as of now, working on that, okay, in order to be there when it happens and ahead of the others.
Very good.
Nice.
Excellent. Peace, I'm totally with you. I think it's one of the biggest things that's going to happen. Real assets being tokenized on chain and stuff like that. So
it's not only about the insurance solution, because it's not about technology. It's about the whole ecosystem that where the insurance industry is built. The whole ecosystem has to change. And that's the kind of disruption that will happen. And I don't see any movement in that direction. I don't see any real movement in that direction to make that disruption. But the first one who does that will be the real disruptor.
I hope those founders who are listening to take some ideas from Ayman and start a company.
If you ask me about my dream before I retire or when I retire, I'd like to be part of that, because I think that's the future of how things should be going.
There are some, I think, countries in Far East who have started to do that, some insurtechs. Yeah, so maybe
they're still far, because they're only thinking about technology. It's not about technology. It's about disrupting the ecosystem. That's the differentiator. The ecosystem, not the technology. Technology is only the tool, but we need the whole ecosystem to change.
Absolutely.
Sounds exciting. So we're coming towards the end of the podcast. We wanted to ask you, it's also end of 2024, almost towards the end of 2024, 2025 is coming. What plans and visions have you shared with your team, especially in this volatile place that we are now finding ourselves in?
I think the key message, two things. Number one is a very big thank you to the team, because any leader is as good as his team. And if you don't have the right team, you don't have the super A team, you're a lousy leader. Okay. So a very big thank you for the team. They've done a fantastic job. And the second message is to keep on doing whatever they do best. And so I cannot talk about our strategy, etc. We've already had that, but I think being number one is not easy. Staying as number one is a more difficult job, and we intend to stay as number one, and number one for our clients, for our colleagues, and for our communities.
This is great. I think we've come towards the end of the first section of the podcast. We now will move to this very exciting section. We've called this rapid fire. Maybe Renjit, you can start off with the introduction of the rapid fire section.
So we have just about, I think, 10 questions or so. We will just split it among the two of us. Answers in 60 seconds or less, whatever comes top of the mind. So if you're ready, we can start it off. All right. What would you say is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in your career?
Be patient and choose your battle, because you'll face many battles in life. You cannot fight them all. You need to choose your battle.
Excellent. Nice. And one word to describe your leadership style?
Open door, transparent. If you look at my office, it's glass. There was a translucent thing that I removed that from the glass. It's open. I believe the leader has to see and to be seen.
Excellent. What would you say is your favorite city for travel, business, or otherwise?
I love going to Rome.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't for business. It was for a private visit, because Rome is an open museum. Wherever you go, it's an open museum.
History all around, right?
Yeah.
What
You learn a lot from history.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
True.
Especially as insurers, we can never forget history.
But the issue is, don't be trapped in history.
Yeah.
Because history is behind our
True.
back. Just learn from it and move forward. Always look forward.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
And what book, blog, or YouTube video, documentary do you usually find yourself recommending to your family or friends?
Okay, I'll be very honest with you. I haven't read the book for a very long period of time.
Okay.
But I spend a lot of time whenever I have time, on X, okay, the platform. There is a lot that you can learn from X.
Yeah,
I read lots of articles, okay, and I watch YouTube seminars, conferences, whatever you have, these interviews with certain people on YouTube. There's a lot to learn. And the topics that I follow mainly are politics, economy, and technology, especially the crypto space technology.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. And what would you say is one of the most exciting tech innovation that you've seen in the last 12 to 18 months for insurance?
In insurance, you mean, or generally?
In insurance, yeah.
In insurance, as we were talking before, honestly, I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
I would like to see that, which is on the tokenization of assets. That's something that I would like to see. So far, there have been very good inventions, very good moves. So you cannot just have one jump. There has been very good moves, but I haven't seen the thing that would really make me say, wow.
Okay. Right.
With all due respect to everyone.
Good. No, we usually, our guests say AI, and I'm like, I want to hear something new, and I think you have done it.
Yeah.
Now over to Vidya.
So who is like the most inspiring leader or entrepreneur for you?
Leader, that'd be it. I think two leaders have shaped the GCC here. Okay. The first one is Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, seeing the vision in unity and the power of unity. And we're living that today. So without that vision at that time, we wouldn't be seeing or living what we're living today. That's one. The other leader is the late King Abdullah. Because I think what you're seeing in Saudi today goes back to the days of King Abdullah, when he started sending the Saudi families, not only individuals, but he used to send families to go and study abroad and to learn and have that open-mindedness. So I think the change in Saudi started at that point in time, and we're seeing the results today. So these two visionary leaders, you did not know what they were doing at that time, but now you see the impact of what they have done in the past.
So are you a work from home or a work from office person?
A combination of both, but most of my time I spend in the office. Okay. Right. So I go to the office every day except Friday, because it's more efficient to work from home on Fridays, because I interrupt during the Friday prayers. But the other days I work from the office, because I love interacting with our colleagues, and that interaction, feeling, and connectivity, you will not get it no matter how many Zoom calls you have. You need to have physical, one-to-one, heart-to-heart, mind-to-mind interaction with the colleagues.
That is true. That is true. And what's like the top strategic priority for 2025 from Marsh McLennan perspective?
I'm already in 2026. So
okay.
I think 2025 is going to be a challenging year because of different changing landscapes. Yes. So there's geopolitics, you've got the economic changes, you've got technology. I think the key thing is to align with the vision of the leadership and the vision of the country in every country that you operate in. And in every country, there's a certain vision, certain drive. So aligning our strategy with that vision, with that drive, helps us to grow. And the other element is there's a changing landscape of competitors. My advice to colleagues is always respect your competitors and never underestimate anyone, whether big or small. Never underestimate your competitors and give a lot of respect to the competitors.
We're in the business of risk. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Taken so many risks in my life. I think the one important risk is that I left an employment at a point in time without having any alternatives because it was against my convictions. Okay. But it was, I don't know if it was luck or anything else. 24 hours later, I got a job. So that was a risk to take a decision, not supported by anything, just because of it's against your convictions. And then God opens the door for you and you get back to business.
Wow. Great. Wonderful. So I think that brings us to the end of rapid fire section as well. We thoroughly enjoyed. Actually, we can go on with a lot more topics speaking with you. We thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I hope you enjoyed as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Many thanks a lot. I really enjoyed that. And maybe one day we can have a coffee chat other than the podcast. So I'll be happy to do that.
No, absolutely. I totally enjoyed it. And thank you for being on the show.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.